Lighting. Every single camera needs it and relies on good lighting to be able to render an image really, really well. Now, smartphones have tiny lenses and tiny imaging sensors, which means they need lots and lots of light to be able to render an image really, really well. They don't cope so well in low light situations. Now, speaking of lots of light, there's one light source that I know of that is the best kind of light source you can plug into your camera, and it's a big white ball outside in the sky, and it's usually available for free every day. But here's the thing, you need to know the best types of light and the best times of day to be able to utilize that sun at its absolute best. So let's check out some situations where lighting can work for us best. This is blue hour. This is the golden hour. And this is midday light. This is what's known as blue hour. Now, this is the most natural, scattered, even form of lighting we can hope to shoot with in exterior locations using just the sun. And we love this hour, the blue hour, because it happens twice a day. It's that first hour of light pre-dawn, so in the pre-light before dawn, and it also happens again at the end of the day once the sun's set in the twilight hour. So it's called blue light because everything's got that beautiful, soft, even pastel hue. So if you look behind me, the sky is full of soft blues, pinks, golden yellows, and we don't have any direct shadows yet to contend with because the light is still below the horizon. This is a fantastic example of what's known as the golden hour. And the golden hour of light happens in that first hour of light after dawn, after sunrise every day, or that last hour of light that hangs in the sky just before the sun slips away at sunset. It's called the golden hour because the sun is so low in the sky. There's all these beautiful natural atmospherics at work. There's dust, there's moisture in the air that cuts back the severity and the strength of the sun. And we get this beautiful golden, yellow, peachy, pinky sort of wrap on the landscape and our subjects. Now, we do get some shadows to contend with because it's such a low side light, but it's still quite flattering to film in this. And even with a little reflector on the side, we'd be able to sort of open up this exposure a bit on the shadow side if we wanted to. The golden hour is fantastic for filming the natural environment, our landscape, because it wraps the landscape in these gorgeous, stretched, elongated shadows that really maps the topography beautifully. I love the golden hour. It's probably one of my favorite times of the day to be filming. And by contrast, and yes, that pun isn't intended, this is what midday light looks like. And when you can compare it to light at either end of the day, this light is very unflattering. It's when the sun is at its highest in the sky. It's very high contrast. It casts these ugly, deep-set shadows on my face. And it really isn't that comfortable to be looking into this light. I'm squinting quite heavily. Yet ironically, this is the time of day when most people think about doing their videos. But it's the most unflattering kind of light we have to work with. Stay away from midday light. Now, of course, if given a choice, you're going to want to shoot outdoors in the golden hour or the blue hour. It only comes naturally to want the best light. However, sometimes your hand is going to be forced and you're going to be needing to film in the middle of the day like we are now. There's a couple of things we want to show you that'll help you shape light, take a bit of control of this harsh light, soften it down and correct some of the things we're seeing in this picture now, the deep shadows and the high contrast of light. Let's see how we can help shape that, make that look a bit better. Okay, so it's the middle of the day, we're standing outside again. You can see from this shot alone that my face is covered in shadows, and where my eyes should be, what you're probably seeing is two dark pits of shadow. This is not very flattering light to be filming people in, but I'm going to introduce you to your new best friend when it comes to filming in these situations, and that's one of these guys, a circular photographic reflector. Now, this thing can help us in a number of different ways. I've got Olivia here standing behind the camera. She's going to come and show us how some of these techniques work and how we can get rid of some of this horrible light situation going on in my face. So Liv, I'll get you to jump in and take this. The first thing we're going to do is bounce in some reflected light. So it's called a reflector, so reflecting is what it does best. Pops out to quite a large size. I'll get you to hold that for me. And simply by rotating the disc backwards and forwards, so Liv's looking for where the sun is, she's trying to catch the sun, and then I can feel when that's bouncing back in on my face. Now at the moment what that's probably going to do is try and fill in or lighten, not get rid of, but lighten some of the shadows under my eyes. Can you see that doing that, Liv?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we'll keep doing that again. We'll do with for about 5 seconds. So that's lightening the shadows on my face, and then if she dips the reflector back down again, you can see we're back to plain old contrasty harsh light. So a reflector is a really, really good, useful tool to help sculpt light. We can catch light with it. As long as we can see the sun, we can capture some light, we can bounce it back into a different direction. At the moment, what's happening is the sun is high in the sky, so the shadows underneath. So the only kind of light that Liv can really bounce in here is to try and uplight through the shadow sockets in my face. When we have very, very strong side lighting, we can use this if we've got one shadow side of the face and one brightly lit side of the face. We can use this same technique to just evenly light the other shadow side of the face as well. Now there's an interesting thing here, Liv. This is summer in Australia, so we can get away with using the silver light because our light here is actually quite warm as it is. But if you take that cover off, on the other side of this cover, we have a couple of different options. We have a gold side and a white side. Now we won't show the white side. The white side does basically what the silver side does, but not quite as brightly. So it's a more subdued effect. But when we pop the gold reflector side on, what that actually does is it completely warms up the light that it's reflecting back into our scene. Where you'll find a gold reflector is really, really handy is on days when everything's a little bit drab, but there might be a little bit of light coming through, but there's a lot of cloud, and if you're, say, in a city environment, things are just looking a bit grey and ordinary. When we pop on the gold reflector and bounce light with that, you'll see there's quite a dramatic difference in the colour of light that it's washing into my face. There you go, done like a pro. So Liv's going to bounce it in now, and you better see straight away that the colour of light that's bouncing up into my face is quite different to what we had before with the silver light. Interesting thing though, I'll get you to hold that on my face for a while, Liv. This is something to keep in mind when you're actually filming people outdoors with reflectors. Although this is correcting a problem with a shadow, it's creating an entirely other problem, and that is I can't see. I'm squinting like crazy because the amount of light that's washing up into my face is just way too much for me to contend with my eyes. And when we're filming people outdoors and we can see nothing but just two little lines for eyes, it's not the best way to be conducting an interview or recording actors. So, thanks for that. What we're going to do is take that cover all the way off, Liv, and underneath that, or right in the middle, we have this beautiful translucent disc called a scrim. Okay, so we've seen the properties of what a reflector does, and we understand how we can utilize it to catch and bounce light back into a scene and back into a subject to get rid of those harsh shadow tones. Once we remove that outer silver or gold fabric, however, we're left with this wonderful fabric flexible disc in the middle, which is translucent, called a scrim. And where a scrim comes in really useful is we can place that into a scene. We won't do it just yet, but we place it in a scene in between the subject and the light source to help cut back the severity of the light. And effectively when light hits the scrim, it scatters and creates this nice even wash of light. So right now I've got nothing on me. I've just got that midday sun. Again, I've got horrible dark shadows on my face. It doesn't look very pleasing. Liv, if you come in now and place the scrim in between myself and the sun, you can see straight away it evens out the exposure. I've got rid of the shadows. One thing with this though is we will have to adjust the contrast on the picture, so I'll do that just to help lift the levels up because now I'm a little bit darker than what the background is. So it is a bit of a delicate balance. You might need to choose a slightly different backdrop to help even out that light exposure. But for sure a scrim is something you won't go without next time you're outdoors filming people. So we'll show you without the scrim again. Again, notice the harsh shadows, very contrasty light, and I'm starting to squint again, and with the scrim, so much better.